Hey, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Do you get into a funk or to like that daily grind where you just start feeling like one day is bleeding into the next and you're lacking inspiration and meaning? And one of the reasons I believe this happens to all of us, and I speak to you as I speak to myself, is because we fail often to see the deeper purpose and the deeper message behind everything we do in life. This is what I believe is one of the great teachings of the sin of the spies mentioned in this week's Parsha. The spies are sent out to scout out the land of Israel. They come back with this negative report. The Jewish people hear the negative report and they want to go back to Egypt. And they just want to throw in the towel and not try even to follow God's plan. Of course, God gets incredibly angry with the Jewish people for failing to have faith and belief. But what was really the sin of the spies? I mean, it seems as though they just did what they were told to do. They went in, got information, they came back. The information happened to be negative. So they came back with a negative report. Now, of course, there are debates about this. Some say that they put their spin on it. That's what happens when you give a report. But Rabbi Soloveitchik says something very, very powerful that I think can help us with the kind of funk we often get into in our own daily lives. The sin of the spies, says Rabbi Soloveitchik, is that the spies failed to realize their deeper purpose and mission in going into Israel in the first place. You see, they weren't supposed to simply come back with facts, because who were these people? These were the Nesiim. These were the distinguished princes of each tribe. They were like senators. You don't send a senator into another country to just scout out the land and come back with information to see if it's feasible to conquer the land, what's the agriculture. You send in CIA operatives, you send in military people, you send in intelligence to gather information. You don't send in a senator or a member of Congress. You send a member of Congress, you send a Nasi, a prince of a tribe, to develop a relationship with the land, to engage in diplomacy, to develop a relationship between Am Yisrael, the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael, and the spies failed to see that deeper purpose behind their mission. They just got technical about gathering information. They took their notes and they came back and they just reported the facts. But that's not why they were sent. If they were Nesiim, these were distinguished tribes. They were sent to develop a relationship. In fact, the halacha is, Jewish tradition teaches that before a man and a woman can see each other, before a man and woman can get married, they have to first see each other. And the Rav wrote that that's really what the purpose of the sending of the spies. It was a date. It was a rendezvous between the nation of Israel and the land of Israel. And they failed, says Rabbi Soloveitchik, when they were in Israel, to visit the Marat HaMachpelah, the cave of the patriarchs, where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, where Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah were buried. How do you go to Israel and not visit that place? Like going to Israel today and not going to the Kotel or to the old city. You're forgetting what the land of Israel ultimately represents, the place of destiny between God and the Jewish people. And they just sort of looked at the facts and they determined the whole enterprise hopeless. With grandeur facing them, says Rabbi Soloveitchik, all they could see was the mundane. I want to leave you with a story that really illustrates this. It's about a man who comes on a construction site and he sees three people working and he goes over to the first guy and he says, "What are you doing?" And the guy says, "What does it look like I'm doing?" "I'm laying a brick." And the other guy he comes to, he says, "What are you doing?" He's doing the same exact activity. He says, "I'm building a wall." And then the gentleman goes to a third man on the construction site and says, "Tell me, what are you doing?" And he says, "I'm building a synagogue, a place where people can connect with God." All three individuals are doing the same thing. But one just saw bricks, the other one saw a wall, and the third saw a shul, a synagogue. And that's a question for all of us in our own personal lives, in our professions, in our careers. Are we just going through the grind, or do we see the bigger purpose? But maybe in our jobs don't have that bigger purpose sometimes, but it is earning us a livelihood that we can give charity, we could do great things and build our lives, or we're helping the economy. In our relationships, are we just sort of using our friends, or are we seeing the greatness that can lie behind a friend? In our religious lives, we pick up an apple, we make a blessing. Do we realize it's not just a bunch of words we're mumbling, but we're recognizing that God is the source for this wonderful apple or orange that I'm about to bite into? What incredible, grandiose, and glorious purpose and meaning and value that we have in life, but we sometimes just We sometimes just get technical, like the spies, and we take notes, and we just come back and we do the same thing the next day, and we fail to see the greatness that lies beneath. If the Jew has done anything for the world, we have brought the concept of God, that there's something deeper that doesn't meet the eye physically, that's beneath the surface. There's always something deeper in your job, in your relationship, in your religion. Find what's deeper, focus on that, and you won't get into the funk, because you'll realize what value and what significance and meaning there truly is to life. Shabbat Shalom.